comeback.
But tonight,
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my peers, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom, explosion. Overpower.
It's before your time, I guess. It's been confirmed that Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting on September the 22nd and April the 13th. September the 22nd of this year, 2018, in Wembley Stadium, and April the 13th of 2019 in Wembley Stadium. So they're predicting, since it's not officially confirmed yet, but I guess it's pretty safe to say that it's going to be Alexander Povetkin next. So, in a perfect world, we would have had Deontay Wilder September the 22nd. It's time to move on. We've talked about all the bullshit on why the fight didn't happen and why it's not happening and who's supposed to be the B side and the A side. And yeah, I'm done with it. It's over. September the 22nd. It's likely, heavily likely, even though it's not officially confirmed yet, that it's going to be Alexander Povetkin. And if things go to plan, if Anthony Joshua beats Alexander Povetkin, because despite what you saw in the David Price fight, Alexander Povetkin is still a very dangerous opponent. Also, both fighters are going to be are enrolled in VADA drug testing, which is a very, very big deal. It's the most stringent of drug testing that there is available for boxing right now, meaning it's supposed to be 24/7, especially if you're ranked by the WBC. But, sometimes I've learned, that it's not always, they don't always follow up like they should. But whatever the case may be, it's a good sign that both of these fighters are signed up for VADA drug testing. So, Povetkin is a dangerous fighter, and he could ruin major plans for Matchroom, DAZN, and Deontay Wilder, big money, and so many other things. So, of course, the issue I have is it's hard to talk about moving forward without talking about, damn, man, didn't they say they couldn't fight Wilder because they needed a 12-week training camp and yada, 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 yada? To go back briefly to what I talked about before in the past, I strongly feel that this fight never was going to happen this year, especially since Eddie Hearn, with this new group he's with, the Perform Group, the Zone, DAZN. In fact, let me go over here real quick, put it in for you. With this new thing that they got coming, it's hard for me to believe that Eddie Hearn didn't sit down with these people and they didn't talk about, why is my screen cut off? I got to fix that. And didn't talk about, basically, listen, we got to be assured that we're going to get Anthony Joshua if we give you, this platform. Of course, maybe he said, well, we got that deal with Showtime and, we're, Anthony Joshua, they've been treating him real good, broadcasting his fights. But they're probably saying, well, we want Anthony Joshua exclusively on our platform. So it just was hard for me to believe that this thing was going to launch without Anthony Joshua being exclusively on there. It just was hard for me to believe. Among other things. So it's supposed to be launching in September. The date I'm hearing, which is obviously subject to change, is Eddie Hearn is supposed to be having some major press event along with the Zone here in the United States, July the 17th, where they're going to announce who the fighters are. Anthony Joshua could very likely be stepping on American soil and be available to American media. I'm doing everything right now in my power to make it my comeback in regards to getting out there in the field and getting to this event. But sometimes, there's some politics. I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people involved with the situation, from Deontay Wilder to Shelly Finkel here on the channel, Steven Espinoza. But I haven't had a chance, Lou DiBella, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Eddie Hearn. I always seem to miss him, whether it's because I was sick a lot last year, didn't make it to Didn't get the press release, for whatever was going on in New York. But I really got some questions in regards to like all of this. For example, I never really strongly felt that the WBA was going to strip Anthony Joshua, or Anthony Joshua in any case was going to be stripped. The WBA just does not roll like that. That's not their MO. From what we've seen from them is inconsistencies, and they're damn sure not going to strip their number one cash cow, who's supposed to be fighting in front of 190,000 plus over 2 fights. They're going to strip him. So, I was really upset when Eddie Hearn pulled that shit. Well, the WBA has been very patient. He said he got 24 hours, like he couldn't finesse the WBA. But whatever, we're getting off the path. No, but let me say this, right? I think a lot of people, because of, and I'm not saying that these people are wrong in their opinions, but because of a lot of other American media outlets on YouTube, or people who do videos on YouTube, they've been heavily, heavily critical and pretty much bashing Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, calling them duckers, taking sides pretty much. Me, I know who I feel whose fault it is, but at the same time, I understand the business side of things. So a lot of people, Anthony Joshua supporters, when they come to my channel, they think I'm just taking Deontay Wilder's side because he's American. And I'm just glad this is not a situation where it's not involving two black fighters. I'm glad it's involving two black fighters, because then the whole race thing would that would have been, But nonetheless, Anthony Joshua was sitting on top of the world. In fact, this is what I wanted to show y'all before. Let's go look at the rankings, and let's go look at the heavyweight division right now. All right. You have the WBC, the last of the Mohican, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. In this, okay, let me explain for people who don't know. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people who don't know. In this day and age, you have to have 4 belts to be considered a unified champion. In the 70s, in the 60s, mid 60s, when the WBA and the WBA was formed, the WBA and the WBC was formed, you only had to have those two. Up until, the mid 90s, it was the IBF that was more respected than the WBO. So you only had to really have like 3. But now in this day and age, you have to have that WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO. You got to. And then if you don't have that ring with that, then something's wrong. But in this case, Tyson Fury being, the lineal champion, and for people who don't know what the lineal champion is, it means you beat the man who beat the man who beat the man who beat the man, unless somebody retired. The best scenario I can use, or the best example I can use, is Adonis Stevenson beat Chad Dawson. Chad Dawson beat Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins beat Antonio Tarver. Antonio Tarver beat Roy Jones. You see how that, Canelo beat Cotto. Cotto beat Sergio Martinez. The lineal champion. You see what I'm saying? It goes like that. And before that, it was Kelly Pavlik, because Kelly Pavlik moved up, correct? And then before that, B-Hop? No, Jermaine Taylor? Whatever. I don't want to confuse myself, but moving on. When you look at what's left, right, this Deontay Wilder fight would be super crazy massive, and it should be in a stadium. It should definitely, absolutely be in a stadium. And I can understand from Anthony Joshua's side where they're like, well, we want this fight to build up. We want this shit to be as big as it could possibly be. Barry Hearn, the father of Eddie Hearn, the consigliere, the advisor of Eddie Hearn, he is matchroom boxing. He's even been saying for a while now, if it was up to him, he would definitely strongly advise Anthony Joshua to make the fight in 2019, which means that the promoter is saying, yeah, we're going to do our best to make sure this shit don't happen till 2019. You have to also factor in this political thing where here in the United States, you have a new boxing platform coming in with the Zone, right? Anthony Joshua is going to be with the Zone. They're going to be like, for you to watch Anthony Joshua fights in the United States, you got to pay for that shit. The days of Showtime and HBO are over. And I knew something was brewing. But I didn't think it was going to be a streaming app. I thought Anthony Joshua was possibly going to go over with HBO because Eddie Hearn was aligning his fighters with HBO. But now, news has come out saying that Eddie Hearn doesn't want Deontay Wilder on Sky Sports since he's not going to fight Anthony. This is crazy. Because if you look at it, Anthony Joshua and his side pretty much used Showtime to get televised because Showtime, they was building up Anthony Joshua to fight Deontay Wilder. They were building up Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder so they can take over the heavyweight, market of fights, even picking up, heavyweight fights like Tyson Fury's return. So now it's hard to see how they're going to make it so difficult for Deontay Wilder now with this new, service where Showtime and DAZN have to work together for whenever this fight does happen. So let's say Wilder and Joshua fight on April the 13th, 2019. Let's just say they do, right? You think that Showtime is going to be like, damn, we're not going to broadcast the fight. Let Deontay Wilder go over to Eddie Hearn shit, and the fight's just going to be on there? Or do you see, DAZN like, well, we'll have Anthony Joshua for this first fight where he's going to fight September the 22nd. It's going to be his debut. It's going to be the debut of our streaming service here in the United States. And then his next fight, he go over to Showtime. They're going to have to work together. And I'm still trying to see how it's going to work. So let's go talk about the heavyweight division. So the winner of Wilder, well, you have to factor in Povetkin. The winner of Wilder, Joshua, Povetkin, and whoever Wilder fights next, which will likely be Dominic Breazeale, unless they try to pull some type of power move to get Tyson Fury, which I doubt. Could they do Tony Bellew? Wilder versus Tony Bellew, give Dominic Breazeale some step aside? But if you look at it, the winner of this, is the favorite over the top heavyweight. So they can go on to rule the heavyweight division for eternity. You got Dylan White, who I think Deontay Wilder can beat. Well, I think Deontay Wilder can beat him, but we'll definitely have to see how he looks against Joseph Parker, because I think Dylan White's going to lose to Joseph Parker. Anthony Joshua already beat Dylan White. Both of these guys can beat Breazeale. Povetkin's there. You got Luis Ortiz. Deontay Wilder already beat him. You got Tony Bellew, who would fight Wilder but won't fight Joshua because they're friends. And when you look at the names, Gerald Big Baby Miller, when you look at the heavyweight division, until a guy like, Alexander Usyk moves up, there's really nothing there right now. I'm talking about like no real threats where I can say, yeah, they're a legitimate threat. Yeah, there's some good fighters in here. Like I said, these fights, eventually he's going to try to sell it to you, especially if Dylan White beats Joseph Parker. So, it'll be Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker 2, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Dylan White 2, Deontay Wilder, Dylan White. Look at these names. You got names out there, but they're not names where I can say they can honestly rule or beat Anthony Joshua. Whatever, man. We'll see. The shit's getting ugly. And they know now how supportive the UK fans are, especially the casuals. You need casual fans. They buy the tickets. The women love Anthony Joshua. He has the perfect, formula to be great. The women love him. He knows how to speak well. He's always saying, obviously, the right things. But if he were to lose, Matchroom would crumble. I mean, not crumble. They're not a weak promotional company, but they got so much, riding on him. Making a fight for Anthony Joshua is just not sitting a contract and signing it and looking at it. That shit's where they sit down at a big ass meeting with a whole table of motherfuckers talking about what they're going to be doing next. Anthony Joshua's become a corporation now. It's the money in the business side. And so, yeah, I do believe he'll fight Deontay Wilder. Because if Deontay Wilder keeps winning and he doesn't fight him, then that shit's only going to look even worse for Anthony Joshua. But if they blow this opportunity and they don't fight, what's the next major? I don't see any other fights. Yeah, they could do these stadium fights. Of course, they're going to come out for Anthony Joshua. But if he doesn't fight Deontay Wilder, what other big, huge money fight is there for him? For both of them. Not Dylan White rematch. Not the Dominic Breazeale. Not Povetkin. Not Ortiz. If Tony Bellew says, fuck it, I'm going to go for the money, turn on Anthony Joshua, not him. You had David Haye possibly, if he would have stayed healthy. But that's about it. That's about it. Unless he goes on that, well, I'm going to travel the world. And because Anthony Joshua does want to fight in Africa. Travel the world and go sell out in Africa, keep doing the whole stadium thing. But as far as real major money, like with people and fan intrigue, it's Deontay Wilder. But then again, this is stuff they already know. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.